Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed Lee. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the wonderfully beautiful and historical neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Audible, CastBox, Player FM, Boomplay, Ghana, and wherever you find your favorite shows. One of our favorite guests is joining us once again. Sheri Fink returns to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate Magenta. And later in the show, sisters Shamila and Shamini will be here to celebrate Fantastically Me. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by 28 Days of Neon by Mayra Rosenberg. 12-year-old Neon Blue-Green is queen of the cafeteria, co-captain of the cheerleading squad, and has the most amazing dog any 7th grader could ask for. Her only complaint in life is that her parents named her after the color of a sports energy drink. Until the morning, she overhears them whispering and learns that she has only 28 days left to live. Neon needs a miracle, but how can she get one in only 28 days? Then it hits her. She'll do one good deed every day. This is a fascinating middle grade novel that you and your kids are going to love to read or co-read together. Get your copy today, 28 Days of Neon by Mayra Rosenberg. This episode is brought to you by Feliz Navidad. It's December of 2019, and Pittsburgh is covered in a terrible fog. Even worse, all of the reindeer get sick and they can't fly. Everyone in the North Pole is worried they'll have to cancel Christmas. But just when all hope seems lost, Santa's pet, Feliz Navidad, raises his paw to help. And while a dog is not quite a reindeer, Feliz is their last chance to save Christmas. This is a book about perseverance and grit. Feliz Navidad, the story of how Santa's dog saved Christmas. Get your copy today, Feliz Navidad, by Ari and Rhea Helper. This episode is brought to you by the Logan series. 3 wonderful books written by Christine Ritchie McNamee. Logan and the Missing Masterpiece, Logan and the Lost Luggage, Logan and the Missing Jewels. Logan and the Lost Luggage is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read, and all 3 of these books feature Logan, an adorable Cocker Spaniel who travels the world with his magic bone. You and your kids are going to love traveling around the world with Logan, meeting animals from all over the world, visiting different countries, and learning how to get along with people from other countries and other cultures. It's a beautiful series of books. Our Reading with Your Kids certified great read panel loved Logan and the Last Luggage. We know you're going to love all 3 books. Check it out today. The Logan series by Christine Ritchie McNamee. Join us right now from the beautiful state of California. Our guest is returning to the show to celebrate her brand new book. It's called Magenta. Please welcome to the show the queen of whimsy, Sheri Fink. Hey, Sheri, how are you?
Hi, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Wonderful. Sheri is the queen of the whimsical world, and we just love having her on. She's been part of our Reading with Your Kids family since since right after we launched the show back in 2017.
Yes, it's been an honor.
It's been great to have you. I love your books. They really are whimsical and they're fun. And as I've mentioned before, Sheri and I had a chance to meet each other in the real world, and I saw her booth at the Orange County Children's Book Festival a couple years, and boy, when you meet Sheri Fink in person, it is an experience.
You're making me tear up.
Well, before you tear up, let's talk about Magenta.
Okay, so Magenta is my 17th book, which just blows my mind. But this book is extra, extra special. I feel that this is the most magical thing I've written yet because it is beyond my series. So I'm best known for writing the little series, like including the little rose, the little monster, little unicorn, that series. I have 8 books in that series. But this is my first children's picture book that's beyond that series. And we were able to do some really fun things with it. Not only does it have extremely elaborate, detailed, fun illustrations, but it has a magical holographic rainbow gold element on the cover that makes it look like it's almost like a rainbow dancing in the sun. It's amazing.
Wow. Boy, I love that. I'm so happy that you're branching out. Although I have to tell you, I was kind of hoping, or I kind of hope that you stick with the little series because I would love to see you write the little podcaster.
Well, I do have plans eventually to come back to the little series, but that one was not one of my ideas yet.
Technology, we talk about technology and, the fact that you and I are on different sides of the continent and we can speak to each other in real time. But the technology of the printed book is also really advancing. You're telling us about this really neat element of your cover art. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how difficult or easy it was to add that to the book?
Sure. Well, a few years back, I started wanting to get fancier. So, after you published, I don't know, I guess it was like 13 or 14 books, I started thinking, what if we could do glow in the dark ink, right? So like my little monster book glows in the dark. Every single page glows in the dark and the cover. And it was really, really fun. And so the next book was the little penguin. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could put some glitter on the cover? So we have glitter gems on the cover of that book. And then this time around, I was like, well, I don't want just an ordinary cover, so I went to the printer who had been able to do these other things with me. And I said, I need something really special. And at first we were just looking at like, kind of a basic gold foil. And I thought, it's okay, but it's not special. Like what do you have that's like the most special? And they would send me that the printer at the plant would actually show me samples of the different options they had, and they would send me pictures. And in this particular one, they had to send me a video because it doesn't just sit flat, right? It interacts with the light. So once I saw that, I said, well, that's the one. We've got to use the most magical version of it. And once they approved it, they went ahead and put it onto the book. So it wasn't very hard. It was just, I think for a lot of creatives like us, we don't always have the vocabulary. And I know, like, I can't even tell you exactly what this is called now. I can't remember. I've already forgotten, but it is really cool. And so I just go to them and I'm like, I've got this idea. My vision is this. I want it to look this way. What do you have that sparkles? And then they'll show me a different option. I'll be like, that's not it. And then they'll show me some more things. So I think it's really valuable to have people who will work with you and they will say, well, she's not crazy. She's creative, and they'll go with it and they'll come up with something that really is much better than my original vision of it.
I love talking about the process of creativity and the process of creating wonderful books. And it's wonderful when you're able to find people and collaborate with them to take their specialty and what they're great at and use it to help your book become even better than it was originally.
Oh, yeah. And it makes it so much more fun and rewarding for everyone. We're all very proud of this book.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the story. I understand that Magenta meets somebody pretty special and magical.
He does. So Magenta is the fairy tale of a lost kitten who discovers a magical cottage in the woods and is accidentally enchanted with magical powers by the young sorceress who lives there. So this kitten, who's now in this fish out of water story, is now able to talk and to fly. And the most unfortunate thing, though, is that the young sorceress, her name is Iridessa, has a white raven who does not like cats. So you get to find out if and how they become a family, and Magenta finds the perfect place where she really belongs.
I love that. I love that. You know, it's so neat to be reading with your kids and to help them imagine themselves with a magical power, or imagine themselves in a situation where they're lost in the woods. And what would you do?
Yes. Yes. And kids can really empathize with these characters because she's experiencing new things all the time. And that's exactly what kids are going through. They're meeting new people. They're trying to figure out, who is this? And do I want to be friends with them? And do I feel like I belong here? And what do I do when I have a little friction with someone else? You know, like, how do I handle that? And Magenta handles that beautifully in the story, very naturally, and actually ends up winning over Obsidian, who's the white raven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I love that you reminded me, and we've talked about this a couple of times, but I think it's so important to remember that our kids, when they're sitting on our laps and we're reading picture books with them, that almost everything in their life is new for them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And what it's a magical, it's a fun time, but I guess it's also can be a pretty scary time because, our kids don't have a lot of experience with all these different things that they're learning in their lives.
That's true. That's true. And one of the things that I'm doing with this book that I've never done before, and I've actually never seen anyone else do before, is that I fell in love with these characters. So they are consuming. I love them so much that I am actually going to branch into writing middle grade series featuring these characters. Ooh. And I've already begun. So it'll be really cool because the kids who fall in love with this story and want to see what happens and see the broader picture of this world will be able to read a 3-book series that takes these characters on a bigger adventure.
Yeah. What a neat idea. I mean, just like the Harry Potter books grew with their fans, the Magenta fans, they can kind of grow up and read middle grade novels and then maybe YA titles and then maybe one day romance novels based on Magenta. Who knows? Who knows?
You never know. We're going to follow the inspiration wherever it takes us.
Sheri, you've been very open, sharing online about the fact that you are a mom now. And how has that changed you as a writer?
I was just reflecting on this yesterday because I have a toddler and a newborn. He just turned 12 weeks old. And so we are I like to say our hearts and our hands are very full. Luckily I work from home, and as a writer, I have flexibility. I can write any time of the day or night, although I'm very tired most of the time now. It's just the season, that we're in. Mm-hmm. But I used to be a marathoner. Like once the inspirational gate would open, I would jump in and I would stay there as long as possible. I mean, to the point where I would stay up all night. I would miss meals. I would forget to hydrate. I forget to go to the bathroom. I would just be so in it that I wouldn't want to get out of it, mm-hmm. Until I was done. I would finish things. Like I would do it all in one big swoop, which is difficult when you're writing a novel, mm-hmm. but that's the way I would do it in big chunks where I would dedicate hours and hours and hours and hours of time to things. But as a mom, don't get that benefit anymore. So I've had to become a sprinter. I've had to look at the opportunity and say, oh, okay, they're both asleep right now. Let me go run and do things, and sometimes that's just, let me get a shower, because I can't get it in any other time. But I'm trying to be, very efficient with those kinds of things so that I can have time for creativity and fitness and working these things back into our routine. So the answer is it's harder, but it's making me a better writer because I'm having to adapt, and I don't have the luxury of just marinating in it, for hours and hours. I have to be efficient. And the coolest thing is, like, when Savannah, she turned 1. So once she turned 1, we started a new routine, and I was able to work out and get my writing done first thing in the morning before we had the second child. And when I was doing that, I not only wrote Magenta, but I wrote my picture book that is going to come out in 2025, which I have not announced yet. And I wrote 5,000 words of the first middle grade novel in this series for 2026. Wow. So it is possible. It's just compartmentalized now.
One of the things that I've been very impressed by you is your business. You, very early in our conversations, you were one of the people who helped me understand that becoming an author or becoming a successful author means that you're becoming the CEO of a small business. And you are somebody who puts that business person's hat on, and you really run with it.
Thank you. I love that aspect of being an author. I think it would get boring if you just got to be creative all the time, right? You solve some problems over here on the business side too. And the cool thing is you can use your creativity to fuel your business. Like, for example, we've launched lunchboxes and magnets and a lot of different merch, luggage, bespoke luggage with custom initials on it featuring our characters. And we are about to very, very soon announce apparel, and we're working on a Magenta plush. And I'm so excited. I wanted to do that my entire career. I've wanted to have a plush, but it never made sense until now. So, being business minded can help you grow in a whole lot of different directions and take those characters that you've grown to love and bring them into the world in new, fresh ways to connect with your readers.
I think one of the things that holds a lot of people back is fear. They've written this book and it's their baby, but it's like, wow, I have to make an investment of time and money to get it published if I'm publishing it independently or working with a hybrid publisher. And boy, then I have to invest the time to get out there and market. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do everything and spin all those plates. Where did you find the confidence? I know you have a background in corporate world, but beyond that, where did you get the confidence to say, I can do this?
I didn't have it initially. I've been working on it for years, honestly. I mean, every day when I wrote my first book called The Little Rose, I had no idea what I was doing. I made so many mistakes, so many, but every single day I would feel so scared. And then I would just connect with the passion that I had for helping kids. That particular book is about overcoming a bullying situation and finding friends who appreciate you for who you really are and not being afraid to shine. And I thought, if I could help one kid really embody that message and change their life, like, it'd be worth it. So every single day when I started getting overwhelmed by the fear and I just wanted to stay in the bed, I would start thinking about, okay, I would feel the feelings of making that impact, of maybe if I had had that benefit, maybe I would feel more confident in the world. And that's what I wanted. I wanted kids to know that their dreams are possible and they are worth it. They should go for it. And they don't have to settle for friends who aren't real friends, and all these messages. And I would just keep connecting with that, and I would try new things. That's the other thing about me. I get bored easily. So I like being distracted by whatever the new shiny object is. I have to stay on track, but I'm not afraid to try new things. I think it's fun, and consumer behavior evolves over time. Like I've been in this business for almost 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
So over that period of time, my initial fans have grown up. So the great thing about being a children's author is you're always meeting new kids. And I guess it's also a challenge too. You're not, as an adult, you just get one fan and then they follow you for the rest of your career. They grow out of you if you don't have anything for them when they get a little older. But it's fun to try new things. And when you try more things, you start feeling more confident because you're like, oh, okay, well, that didn't work out the way I thought it would, but I survived it, and if I can survive that, then I can do this other thing. The other thing that gives me confidence is running the business debt free. Mm-hmm. And this is a hard one. And I didn't start out this way, but it was always my goal to get there. And it maybe won't work for everybody, but what works for me is that because I've saved up my earnings, I have the financial reserves so that when I go do an event, say that it's a $2,000 booth, mm-hmm. I'm not scared because I've already paid it. Like I don't owe it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I'm not paying it with interest later. Like when I'm there, of course I want to make as much profit as possible, but I don't have to. And I think taking that gut feeling of, oh my gosh, like if I don't make this money back, like that feeling out of it mm-hmm. makes you more attractive. Mm-hmm. You're more magnetic to people because you don't have this fear radiating off of you. Like, please buy my book. It's like more like you're just there and open to having conversations. And, when people come up, you like talking with them. And I didn't like it at first because I didn't like talking about myself. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it at all. But what I've realized is that I'm not really talking about myself. What I'm doing is sharing my experience to help inspire and empower other people to go and do the thing that they want to do. It's not about me. Yeah. Like, as a matter of fact, every time that I go on stage, every time I have an interview, what I say before I get on the stage or the call is, please let whatever's meant to come through me come through without my interference. Mm. So it's not about me. And once you take you out of the factor, it's a lot easier to be confident because you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about connection. You're thinking about helping other people. And I think that's why most of us get into writing children's books anyway.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of thinking, as you're now as a mom sitting down and reading with your little ones, do you ever take a moment to think that, wow, their families all over the country, maybe all over the world, that are sitting down, spending this quality time reading my book to their little ones?
I've never really thought about it. I like it, though. I really like it, especially because my daughter, she will read the same things over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge compliment if someone wants to read your book again and again.
Absolutely. And, every time this issue comes up, I like to remind parents that, yes, you're reading the same book for the 500th time, but you don't have to read it in the same way.
Yes.
Make it fun for your kids. Make it fun and interesting for yourself. Add a new voice. Make a mistake. Let your kid correct you. It's just a way to be, stay engaged with your kids.
Yes. And my daughter, she's 28 months. And she will we've been reading ever since she was, tiny, tiny, tiny. And she will fill in the blanks. Mm-hmm. I will read it in a funny way and I'll leave a blank mm-hmm. in the words and she will know the answer. Yep. And it's like she has it memorized. It's great.
Well, I want to know, give you something else to think about. Those first fans of yours who were probably 4 or 5 when they met you and bought your first books back 14 years ago, they might be coming up to you in a year or two with their little one.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. Wow. That's never happened.
Well, it could. It was an eye-opening experience the first time one of my beautiful wife's ex-students came up to her at a parent-teacher conference and say, hey, you were my teacher and this is my kid.
Oh,
really
amazing.
Cool. Yes. We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Magenta and find out more about all the great things that you are doing.
Sure. Sure. Well, you can come to my website. It's sherifink.com. And our book business is called Whimsical World. So you can find us at whimsicalworldbooks.com. And on social media, I'm at Sheri_Fink on Instagram and at Whimsical World Books. And on Facebook, you can find me at Sheri Fink Fan. And of course, Magenta is available on Amazon. It has been a bestseller, and it just won its third gold medal in International Book Awards.
Awesome.
This time for Best Children's Picture Book Fairy Tale.
Congratulations. And we should give a shout out to your partner in crime.
Yes. So my husband is author Derek Taylor Kent. He is the author of, I believe, 19 books now. I mean, it's hard to keep count. But he's best known for the Scary School series and for El Perro con Sombrero. And he is an amazing creative force. And he is the co-founder of our company and our family.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking to the author of the brand new children's book. It's called Magenta. Our guest has been Sheri Fink. Hey, Sheri, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you so much. Happy reading.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Princess Naomi Helps a Unicorn, a dance-it-out creative movement story for young movers. Unicorns and horses and snakes. Oh, my! Interactive movement wrapped up in a charming story of sibling angst, anger management, compassion, and triumph. Fed up with her annoying sister, Naomi storms out of the castle, only to discover a unicorn in need of help. With a sense of purpose, she quickly forgets her anger. Princess Naomi is just one of the many wonderful books you can find at onceuponadance.com. A mother and daughter duo with a passion for dance and storytelling. They strive to share joyful movement, honor the beauty and discipline of ballet, and foster freedom of expression. Check it out today, onceuponadance.com. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by the books by Charmaine Perry Knights. Charmaine is a TEDx speaker, award-winning facilitator, world traveler, and author. Serving military families through quality literature is her goal and her passion. Her books are absolutely amazing. They are just full of great messages. Books like I'll Find My Way, and that's okay. I Move a Lot, and that's okay. And It's Cool to Be Kind. Such great books that you and your kids will absolutely adore. These books deserve to be in your family library. Get them today. The books by Charmaine Perry Knights. They're available today at Amazon. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back, written by Stephen Joseph and illustrated by Andy Case. In this third installment of the Snoodles series, the Zoodles are determined to have their revenge. With the help of a grimy millionaire who's fallen on hard times, they intend to poison the Earth's water supply and turn everyone into willy-nillys and dilly-dallies. Can Brianna and Ricky save the Earth again? Will the outcast kids on the other side of the track rise to the challenge and help save the world? You can find out with Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back. Are you looking for the perfect gift for a young reader? Woofy and the Dinosaur Dig Adventure, the second book in the Woofy series, is an exciting choice that fosters creativity, friendship, and teamwork. Join Woofy, a small gray stuffed dog, on his thrilling quest to help his friends excavate a T-Rex in the mountains. Young readers will enjoy his humorous adventures and admire his skills as a pup paleontologist, all set in a beautifully illustrated lyrical story. Authored by Helen Rogenson, retired award-winning teacher honored with the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching. This book encourages lifelong learning while supporting charities for animal rescues and children in need. Don't miss out. Visit us at unpackyourownhappy.com and connect with us on Instagram at unpackyourownhappy. We have a great interview lined up for you right now. First, joining us from upstate New York, Shamela Fassbender. Hey, Shamela, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you, Jed?
I am wonderful. And joining us from Australia, is Shamila's sister, Shamini Selvanathan.
Yeah.
Pronounce your last name for me right.
Selvanathan.
Selvanathan. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here. And I was telling both of you that I love the name of your book, Fantastically Me. It's so wonderful. Sharmini, you're in tomorrow. So why don't we start with you? Since you're in
I like that.
Tell me what Fantastically Me is all about.
Well, Fantastically Me is exactly what the title says. It's just all about celebrating yourself. Every single part of you is fantastic. So do not try and be someone else. Be proud of who you are, own who you are, and celebrate all of that. I think that's what the main focus is. That's what we had in mind when we were writing the book. Just to, in a world where people are constantly trying to be other people with social media and things like that, we just wanted to have a space to remind everybody, not just children, but adults, parents who read the book, that life is better when you're yourself, authentically yourself, fantastically yourself. Do not try to be anyone else.
Shamila, that seems to be a really difficult task for kids today. I was just sharing with you, you and your sister, that I follow my chosen daughter who's living in Australia right now. And if I was her age and I was looking at her pictures, I would feel kind of bad because she's pretty glamorous in these pictures, and I would have a hard time thinking I could live up to it. Well, first off, I'm a guy and I couldn't look like her, but I would have a hard time, trying to live up to that.
Yeah. And I think, with this book, part of what the book is about also emphasizes championing somebody else's talents and abilities. And we address that in the book, that just because they are performing something or doing something that you enjoy and you think that you would want to be to, that doesn't mean you can't champion this person and their talents while still championing your own. And I think that's critical too, because we don't have to be jealous about somebody else and what they're able to do. We have our own talents and we're able to accomplish that too.
I think that's a really good point, that not to pull somebody down, because I think I don't know about Australia, and both of you sharing with me that you're originally from Malaysia. I don't know about other cultures, but certainly here in the U.S. and a lot of Western countries, that whole idea of building somebody up just to tear them down, it seems like people are just so anxious to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I think a big part of that is, they don't feel secure in themselves. And it starts early on when you start comparing yourselves and there's nowhere to turn to believe in your own self. I think there's a lot of externalization that comes with believing in anything that you do. You're always looking for that validation from someone else. But it is important to understand that without your own self-belief, that validation, when you're constantly looking at it from an external point, you may not get the validation that you actually want and need. And that really just comes from an internal validation.
Sharmini, how can we help our kids develop that kind of inner confidence, that ability to not need somebody I mean, it's awesome when people encourage us and give us support and give us high fives and attaboys, but how can we encourage kids to know that they're worthy and they're special even without that?
Yeah. So what I do at home, or a big part of what we do, is just showering the kids with a lot of positive language when they do something. And it doesn't matter if they do it right or they do it wrong. The idea is you're doing something, you're making an effort, and you're proud of your effort to encourage that, but not just say, hey, well done, you did that really well, but to point out the steps that they have taken to get there. I see you holding that pencil really well, trying to get that line straight. I see you, choosing different colors when you're drawing. I see you trying to take your plate to the sink, to put it away. So just emphasizing a lot of the actions that they do and how much it is celebrated and how positive it is, and how they they then affect people around them through their positivity and their inner confidence. So just constantly showering them with words of affirmation that what they're doing is great, that you're putting in the effort, and not to compare. I think that's the key. You mentioned, different cultures. I would give you an example, like growing up in a country like Malaysia. It was a very academic driven country. So it became very normal for parents to compare, at the end of the school year, everything is exams. So, oh, how well did you do? How many A's did you bring back today? Do you know that person brought back 6? You brought back 3. So that whole comparison mindset is very difficult to overcome if it's shoved down the child's throat at a very young age, because then you are made to feel that your self-worth is based on how you are compared to others, and not your own efforts to solve a problem or to learn something new. So growing up in that kind of environment, I think we knew, or we could feel the negative effects that it had on us. So we made conscious efforts to make sure that we don't pass that on. And how else can we make sure that children feel confident in themselves and not through someone else's eyes?
You said a lot there, and I want to touch on everything. Shamala, one of the things that your sister said is that instead of just like, oh, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, you did a great job, just point out what it was that they did. I learned that lesson. I coached at a very I coached a soccer team at a very competitive high school. And I remember being the first couple of games, I would say, okay, guys, you played well. And one of the players turned to me and said, Coach, we know we didn't play well. Why don't you be honest with us? Tell us what we did. And why are you saying we played well? And I said, oh, you want me to be honest? Okay. And from that moment on, it was like, hey, I love the way you made that pass. I love that tackle. I didn't like that tackle at all. And so I agree. I think it's really important that we point out and specifically tell our kids what it is that they're doing that we like.
Exactly. And it's about growth mindset, right? And it's about showing them that we see their efforts. When you show them that you recognize the effort, they're going to make more of an effort. And they're not going to give up when they're not getting it the first time around, because you are acknowledging the effort over the end product. I think as parents, sometimes we tend to do that. I know I have to make a conscious effort to say, oh, that's a great effort, and point out exactly what I liked about it, as opposed to, that's a great drawing. How is it great? And, you end up using more language, which is great for the development too. So, it's really a win-win for everybody. There's more communication. There's more of everything that's good, as opposed to just celebrating an end product. Because even in sports, my husband coaches soccer too, and soccer is a big part of our family. You're not going to win everything, but we are going to celebrate the effort that is put in, because at the end of the day, that is really most important over winning or losing.
Yeah. And Sheri, you were saying that you grew up in a culture where everything was compared, and really pushing. We hear that from a lot of Asian families, a lot of Asian authors that have come on. How did you manage to kind of break away from that and to, instead of just reflexively say, well, that's the way I was brought up and that's what I got to do with my kids, and try to do something different?
Well, for me personally, I think it also helped that while our parents did compare, but they did not do it to an extent that it really affected us negatively. I think they also learned their ways quite quickly, because I remember by the time I hit high school, I don't think they did that very much anymore. It was more in the lower school. So they were also learning as they were going. But I think it's also just being open to different ideas of how children learn. This is something that is evolving over years. There's constantly new research out there to tell you what is the best way to teach children. Back in the day, it was, this is A, write it down 3 times. This is B, write it down 3 times. But now we know that play-based learning is great for kids to build their own strength, find their own voice, So, and for me, I think I got a lot of my confidence in being able to divert, I guess, from the norm of what I thought was the norm, was when I got to be an early childhood teacher. So that was something I did for a significant time in my career, and just learning through people in the industry, reading, articles out there on how best children learn, what we can do. So, doing what you feel is norm isn't necessarily what is good for a child. Generational trauma, right? We want to snip the bud and not pass that on. So in order to do that, we first have to recognize, what wasn't working for us, and find ways to change that, I guess. So actively trying to do better, or to make changes, and also recognizing that every child is different. Everyone responds differently to what we give them. For example, my first child, he is really good at listening. So if we tell him you can't do this, he would say, okay. But my second one is more of a wild child, so he doesn't respond well to words. It's more actions. So you also have to cater the way you do things to your audience. And I guess knowing that is important as a parent, as an educator. That's something that is important, to recognize that not every child is the same, and you've got to change, adapt, to be able to give them the skills that they need to be able to believe in themselves, to achieve what they want to achieve in life, not what you want them to achieve in life. I think when you know that, what the goal is to help them become their best self, not the best version that you think they should be. I think that's half the battle. So,
yeah. Shamela, your sister made a good point that, our understanding of parenting evolves. And, it's very easy for us to understand that what we knew about cancer 50 or 60 years ago, we know so much more now. And that's a good thing. And everybody recognizes that. I think a lot of parents have a hard time saying, oh, we know more than my beloved mother or grandmother know now. How can we build up our confidence as parents to kind of throw off some of those old school thoughts and practices that we really know in our hearts aren't best for our kids?
I think you trust in yourself. You trust your gut. As parents, we have that innate ability to understand what our child needs from us. And sometimes, we're clouded by that. This is how my parents did it. This is how it should be done.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think educating yourself, or being open to, hey, this is not really working out for me. Let me look to see if there's other information on it. There's a plethora of information now that, caters to different children and, their learning abilities or anything like that. And that information is out there if you're willing to take a step back and recognize that, hey, maybe this is not working, and look for that solution. But sometimes it is easy to get stuck in, I turned out okay. This is how I was raised. I turned out okay. And to keep that going. But I think it's important to recognize that maybe it's okay to try something new and trust in ourselves to be okay with that.
Shamela, I'm curious, what inspired you to collaborate to create Fantastically Me?
So this is actually our second book that we've written together. But, my sister and I do everything together, for one thing.
Geography doesn't stop us.
Yeah. So, being halfway across the world was really nothing. I woke up one day and I told myself, I need to leave something tangible for my children. We are constantly spending time together, and I have dozens and dozens of pictures of my husband and my children doing all this fun stuff. I'm there, but I'm behind the camera. And I really wanted to leave something tangible for them and for, their children and their children's children. And so I picked up the phone and I said, hey, do you want to write a book with me? And I don't think I finished my sentence before she said yes. And so, our first book was about kindness, and it was a board book, and it was simple. It was kind of like us dipping our toes in, but Fantastically Me was something that, we are really passionate about, and we really really want that message out there to just have self-belief, especially in the world that we are living in now with social media and just the ease of comparison.
Yeah. So true. I love that. Shami, I want to ask you, you mentioned, you were an early education teacher and how important play is in our kids' development. We've had a number of teachers, especially kindergarten teachers, on that tell us that here in the States, kindergarten has become first grade. And
Mm-hmm.
time for kids to be able to engage in that free play at in kindergarten and even in earlier grades really isn't there anymore. One teacher shared with me that she had an administrator come into her room and told her that she had to have her 4-year-olds college ready. And my question to the teacher was, did you ask him if he had suffered a brain injury right before he came into your room? But I'm wondering if that's the same in Australia. Are you seeing the same trend in Australia?
Well, it's hard for me to speak in the Australian aspect of things because I was an early childhood teacher back when I was in Malaysia. So I have to say that from a Malaysian context, yeah, there were schools that were very much, even at a kindy age, at a young age, yes, you come, you learn your ABCs. But the school that I taught at was a very play-based school, but it was hard to also get parents on board for something like that because we had parents who would send their children there, but say, hey, their cousin who goes to another school can, knows all the alphabets by heart and can start recognizing sight words. And, my son's still jumping around playing, trying to find the letter A under words that start with A, things like that. And we're like, don't compare. What we're doing here is building foundation for them to figure out how to learn these things on their own, or we're giving them like strong foundations so that when they see a word, they learn how to say it by sounding out the letters all through play, and they want to do it. But if you just make them memorize, regurgitate with flashcards and things like that, they may know everything at a short time, but in the long run, they're not going to learn, they're not going to be given the skills on how to learn new things without someone shoving it down their throat. So I think that's always going to be the case. You're always going to get parents who want the more, teach, like, let's make sure they know everything before they're a certain age, because yes, you want to get them college ready. But what does that even mean? What does getting someone college ready even mean? Because, there are subjects out there in college about Star Wars, about Harry Potter, about the universe, so what is college ready? Isn't it just, shouldn't the job be just about getting them ready for life, giving them the skills to be able to figure out whatever college ready means to them? So,
Shamila, I think you might agree with me. The only thing you should be telling a 4-year-old about college is you don't have to go into debt for 30 years to go to college.
Absolutely. And, we're constantly talking about that with my children. Like, you just learn what we're learning and you'll be okay. There's no competition. We're actually homeschoolers with my older 2 kids, and we've found out, we've realized they both learn differently. My daughter is a very visual learner, and my son is a very hands-on learner. And once you figure that out, it's so easy to teach because you know how they teach and how they learn.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of do that and be able to prepare them for whatever life takes them. My daughter loves to cook and she loves to do all that, so we encourage that. They did a play over the summer, and my son, who I never thought would sing, wanted to be part of the play. So it's just interesting to see how their interests change over the years and be able to give them that opportunity to learn about themselves and be there for the process. My son is also very into soccer, and he has dreams, and we encourage that as much as we can, and we provide him with the opportunities as much as we can. And, that's really all you do as parents. You give them as much opportunity as you can, and the rest of it, you teach them how to learn for themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm really curious. I love speaking to authors about their process, especially fantasy authors. And how do you keep everything straight when you're creating these universes and all these physics laws and everything? I want to know how two sisters on opposite sides of the world, both, hemispherically and how do you collaborate on writing a book? How does that process go? Does one of them take the lead and the other kind of come up and clean things up, or are you writing every sentence together? I'm just curious, and either one of you can take it.
So,
do you want to go? Yeah.
Sure, I can take it. What we do is, we talk about the idea and we have a general idea of where we want the story to go. And then we both take a stab at it. We know we like to write rhymes. And so, that's how we write our stories. And we both take a stab at it. And then we look at what we like from each of us. And then we work together. So we're like, okay, so this is actually, I like yours. This is how we are doing it. And then we go with, okay, we have a Google Sheet document that we work off. So we're both working on the same document, and then we have it written to where, okay, she's writing it in purple and I'm writing it in black, so we know, and we can add stuff and make notes along the way. Our meetings are my children and, just walking around with them because I have two toddlers and they want to talk and the cousins want to talk. And so our meetings are, part of our chaos, which we really enjoy because that's what being sisters and having family is about, is enjoying each other's chaos. So in between, we talk about books, but we also talk about, family and we speak to each other every day in the evening. So, it's all part of the process.
I love that line, enjoying each other's chaos.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And what a beautiful definition of family.
Thank you.
I really love that. Shamini, tell us where we can go to find out more about Fantastically Me and more about both of you.
Yeah, so you can check us out on our website, bfgminds.com, which stands for Books for Growing Minds. So you can find us on our website, or you can follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, BFG Minds as well. That's our handle. And you can get all the information on, the books that we're writing, when the next one's coming out, any events that we might be doing, or if you would like to get in touch with us for events, those are your platforms as well to get in touch with us. So things are we're still learning the process. This is book number 2, so we are learning as we go. So, because she's in the US, I'm in Adelaide, and we've got a base in Malaysia as well, having, lived in Malaysia. So these are our main hubs at the moment. So how you can get books if you're from these hubs, or how you can get books if you're in other parts of the world. So we've learned from book 1 to book 2. So book 2 now is available in more parts of the world. And so you can get it just by, just clicking on the links on our website or getting in touch with us. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm assuming if school wants to invite you for an author visit, you'll go over. You just have to pay one of you to fly halfway around the world.
Amazing. But just to add that books are available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere you find books, really.
Yeah, that's true.
We've had a fantastic time speaking to the authors of Fantastically Me. It's a great new book from our guest, our sisters, Shamila and Shamini. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Hey, you know what would really help us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading? If you would leave a 5-star review on whatever podcasting app you might be listening. We especially love reviews that are left on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods. Really, wherever you find the show, we would love to have a review. It's a great way to help other families identify and find out about the show and become part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. And we'd also love it if you could subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, wherever you find your favorite shows. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we'll start by thanking our guests, Sheri, Shamini, and Shamila. I want to thank my incredible team, and they are incredible. Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Railing Tang. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, but most of all of us want to thank you. You are amazing. You are there for your family. You are there for your kids. You are there for the world because you are taking the time to not only listen to the show, but to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.